All right, welcome back, everyone, for what is normally members first content, where members would have gotten this on Thursday, where I give you my top 10 in 10. These are my top 10 books for the week that I'm going to run down in 10 minutes or less. Just based off of things that I notice on the aftermarket, whether they be price increases, large sale of volumes, things just reacting to how the market's moving with some of the announcements and things going on in movies, TV shows, etc. Hopefully, you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We just recently passed 2,700 subscribers, so we are on our way to 3K. And just to kind of run this down, the scheduling might be a little weird here on the channel for the next month or so. Day job stuff has my schedule kind of swamped the next month or so, so you might see some adjustments on when shows are dropping, etc. But I'm still going to give you guys all the quality content you come to expect. I'm just not going to rush things or haphazardly throw things together just to get something out. I want to make sure you guys get the content you deserve. So just bear with me, as some things might be running a little bit late here or there. Might have to just kind of ease up the schedule just a little bit. I know most of you have already given me feedback that you don't mind, and I do appreciate that. But I just want to let you know that I am considering what I do put out there. I don't just throw out anything. So with that all said, if you want to see the top 10 that I got for this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and we're going to run this thing down in 10 minutes or less. Okay, so as I burn 90 seconds of my time already, that doesn't actually count. But we are going to run down our top 10 in 10. Let's see what we got here. Let me get the clock started. And as you guys know, we're probably going to start off with our follow-up. So let's get the clock going. 10 minutes. All right. So with our follow-up, this is kind of following up on the new releases that just came out this past week. I do a show called Wednesday Watch List, where I'm giving you a heads up of things that are coming out, checking some of the pre-sales, etc. So let's see the aftermath of Wednesday. So books actually hit the shelves. Is anything still selling? Are things still meeting those pre-sale prices? Is the excitement still there once they actually hit the shelves? With that, let's start off with this first book. And I know you might question it because I only got one sale, but it is a significant sale. I mentioned this when I was doing my Wednesday watch list. This is 1 in 50 for the My Little Pony 40th anniversary. There weren't a lot of them out there. There were not. There were some high asking prices. And we only had just one sale this past week. But it was a whopper. $200. So $200 for this 1 in 50. And before you go, well, it's a one-off sale, etc. Yeah, it is a one-off sale. But if you want one, there's only one up right now, and they want $210. So we'll see where this thing goes over the long term. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of these out there, because how many shops are ordering 50 copies of My Little Pony books? Not many. That said, let's see what else we got. I did complain about this. This was on my not great list for the Wednesday watch list because I just am not a fan of incentives on later printings. But we did have the second print for Amazing Spider-Man number 26. This is the issue, spoiler alert, where Ms. Marvel dies. We've already seen releases, I think, just today, where we're getting a new Ms. Marvel book written by the star herself, and it looks like she's a mutant. Everybody's guess seems to have come true. So I don't know if this really holds much weight any longer. Already kind of undercutting themselves, Marvel doing a second print incentive that's a 1 in 50 that it seems kind of pointless, because the whole point of it was the death of Ms. Marvel, and we already know she's coming back in just a couple of months. I mean, it's not a surprise. There's a new movie coming out in November, so we knew she wasn't going to stay on the shelf for too long. But this thing's still selling because I don't think it was that easy to find. Most of these 1 in 25s from Marvel have been, most of these incentives have been 1 in 25s on the second print. But this is a 1 in 50. So I don't know a ton of places that would have ordered 50 copies of the second print, but those that did are selling their incentives here for about $100, $150. That seems pretty consistent. And there are, a little more than a dozen sales, probably less than 20 over the week. Still impressive. It's still impressive. So I don't know if this is going to hold. If you're into it, go for it. I mean, it's a pretty cool cover. I just don't know the significance of this book going forward, apart from it just probably being pretty hard to find. Moving on with that, we did have an homage cover from Harley Screws, the DCU. Oh, she screws up. Sorry. That's a different thing I just listed. But she screws up the DCU issue 5. They've been doing homage covers across this whole run. This is issue 5. This is the 1 in 25. This is the Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man cover that you would have originally seen. I've had this on the watch list, and it was pre-selling okay. Like there was a high sale of $120 just out of nowhere, and then just right around ratio at like $25. Like as the day was hitting, as we were coming into Tuesday because it's a DC book. But since then, copies have been moving for $55, $60, $72. So price has increased on the average and multiple copies selling. So just something to pay attention to. Once again, this week there's not a ton of volume. I don't have any like 150 plus sales. We're not looking at Spider-Man 2099 again. We're not looking at Spider-Boy again. You guys know those books are still not unfortunately. Those books are still selling. I just don't want to keep talking about them every week. So we're going to be doing some things a little bit different with the rest of this list, starting off here where this, it's the incentive, but you can see the price increase or the price holding, but not a ton of volume. A new book also out this week that I had it on my list because I was just going to get it because of the neon ink cover. There's apparently an error, so this was recalled. So DC recalled this. I think they're sending out replacements. I don't know how that's going to play out because I think some of these have already sold and they're out there in the marketplace. How many? I don't know. How many get held back, sent back, etc.? Also do not know. But this is the book that hit shelves or hit the stores this week. A lot of pinks and browns. The solicit was much more neon purples and greens. So I think that's why they recalled it, because I don't think it came out how they had hoped. I don't know if the final copy is going to look more like the neon green and purple as it's supposed to be or what, but the brown purple is the one they're calling back. So copies of this have been selling. Again, we're talking less than 2 dozen, less than 20, but right around that mark probably. A lot of like $15 to $20 sales for this recalled book. So keep that in mind. I think this also had a little bit of a higher cover price, like I think $5.99 maybe. So keep that in mind as well when you're factoring in that price increase. But keep an eye out for it. If you're interested in this kind of weird collecting, see if you can go grab one for cheap. See if you can still get one for cover at your shop before these disappear. I'm not saying go pay $20 for this because I don't think this is going to be like a long term. There's been a ton of these recall books and they're hot the week they come out and then they get forgotten about it. But if you like collecting that weird sort of stuff, just try to get it for cover price or so if you can. Other books that are selling this week are based off a ton of announcements we've gotten over the last 7 days or so. We're going to start off with the Jennifer Garner. Why they're telling us this now, I feel that kind of undercuts a little of the excitement when I hear all of the cameos are going to show up in the movie months before we're even going to see, even possibly a year plus. Like, we don't know when we're going to see Deadpool 3. They just halted everything because now we got the actors on strike. So who knows when we're actually going to see this movie. So it kind of sucks that they let this out of the bag through like announcements and like Hollywood Reporter that Jennifer Garner is going to be in Deadpool, reprising her Deadpool 3, reprising her role as Elektra. Cool. I just wish I didn't know this for certain. Rumors, one thing, but these like confirmed announcements, etc., it really takes away from the excitement, I think. I think that's also what hurt The Flash a little bit. Had they played a little bit closer to the vest about the Michael Keaton stuff, I think it might have hit better. But because people get tired of it even before they see it. It's just the idea of it is no longer a novelty. So, but we'll see what happens. It's been causing people to go buy this adaptation for the movie Elektra, which was not great. Let's just be honest. That movie was not great. She was fine as Elektra. Some dumb scenes aside, like that park scene is still one of the worst things I've ever seen on screen. The flirtation fight she had with Daredevil in the park was just awful. Awful. That said, this book's selling for like $10 to $20. A lot of best offers. Not a ton of volume. Again, we're looking at 2 dozen or so, maybe around 20, a little less. But it's still kind of moving a little bit on the market. It's just something to pay attention to, something you might dig out of a cheap box that could flip for a little bit. But definitely interesting. Still early in stages with a lot of these announcements, so we'll see if the volumes continue and if the prices start to increase over the next week. Because, there's not been a lot of time for this to kind of take hold yet. Because we're going to follow this announcement up with the leaked pics of Wolverine being in his yellow suit. Why people really care about this? I saw this on Key Collector that they note this as, the origins of the blue and yellow suit. Like, do you really care why he has a blue and yellow suit? I don't. So I don't know about the significance of this book. Pretty awesome Sam Keith cover. I'll give it that. And I do like this run with the Venom covers as well on Marvel Comics Presents. But Marvel Comics Presents 95 apparently has some of the origin of his blue and yellow costume. So people are paying, $7 to like $15 for this thing. I just say dig it out of a dollar bin. I wouldn't pay much more than that for it because who cares about the origin of his costume? Like, he appeared in that blue and yellow, so maybe not the exact blue and whatever, Hey, you collect how you want to collect. I'm just being honest here. This is selling, so I figured I'd tell you. Once again, not a ton of volume. We're looking at like 20 or so. That's really about it, but it's still worth noting. Guy Gardner announcement. Nathan Fillion's gonna be paying Guy Gardner. I think that's pretty fun. I think it's pretty spot on casting. He might be on the older side now. I wish that would have happened maybe 10 years ago, but still 20 plus sales or so on this one. This isn't about the amounts. I'm going to show you some broad sales here, 165 raw, and then you got some graded copies in that like 360 to 380 range for 6.5s, 825 for 8.0s. We'll see if prices start increasing over the next week because this news is only a couple days old. But it's just the idea that copies are starting to move. Volumes have picked up just since the announcement. So a lot of these sales have only been over the last couple of days, much like the Hawkgirl announcement that we got casting for Hawkgirl in the Superman Legacy movie. These are castings for the Superman movie. Don't know how big these roles are going to be. There might be roles introduced here, and then they get to play the role again later on in the DCU under James Gunn. We don't know. But Hawkgirl also announced this week. So another 20 plus sales since that announcement on this book, which is the first Kendra appearance in this Secret Files JSA Origins #1. Copies, and once again, are kind of lingering around. This book has been spec'd on for a while, so prices are kind of consistent with where they've been the last couple of years in that kind of $15 to $25 kind of range. It's more about the volumes. We'll see if the prices increase over the next week, but copies have started to sell based off of the news. 30 seconds left. Let's keep it moving. Metamorpho also cast for Superman Legacy. That dude who was in Barry, he also played a pretty good Zaz in that Gotham show. 30 plus sales on this one. Once again, I'll show you some prices of some of the sales, but it's not about the prices yet. We'll see where they go. But right now, $100 to $200 for raw copies, depending on grade, seems to be what it's been moving at. Just 30 plus sales is significant for this old Brave and the Bold issue 57, I think it is. All right, 1 second left. We're running late. We're running overtime. We're going to hit up last week's Barnstormers. I had this on the list last week to check out Barnstormers. This 1 in 25. Gorgeous prison cover. Wasn't easy to find. Looks like Jennifer Connelly to me. Not that that's a bad thing. I think that's actually a good thing. But that's what the cover reminds me of when you see that picture. So it looks like almost her Mulholland Falls role in that old-timey kind of a way. Anyway, Barnstormers 1, Jenny Frizen, 1 in 25. It's this past week has been selling for like $75 plus for this 1 in 25. Some places incorrectly listed as a 1 in 50, I think, but I'm pretty sure it's a 1 in 25. But when you look at last week's prices, it was selling just above ratio, more like 30 to 40. So it's kind of hitting 75 to 80, well, 90 now. So prices have definitely increased over the last week. So it's just something worth noting. I went over time with that. Hopefully you don't mind all that much. Thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I won't keep you here any longer than that. I appreciate all you members. I will try to get my schedule as close as I can back to normal, but it might be until the end of summer. We'll see how things go. So bear with me as we work through this, and hopefully you're still enjoying the content. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you all later. All right, bye.